current expenditure.
Oh, it's right here. It's right here. For all of the money we are spending, NASA should not be talking about going to the moon. We did that 50 years ago. They should be focused on going on much bigger things we are doing, including Mars, of which the moon is part of. Defense and science.
So there's this giant car winch wrapped around the
just reel that shit in.
The moon isn't Earth, it's Mars's is.
The moon is part of Mars.
Somebody needs to tell the OPA.
That's what I'm saying. In 2002, the Martian Empire annexed the moon. It belongs to them now. Going to Mars is all about getting our moon back.
We've got to get our papers right first, too. Otherwise, we'll get deported.
Even beyond that.
If we can get through the Martian wall. I'm sorry. Kuiper Belt.
I still think it's also funny that you can't go to the same place more than once.
On Mars?
Or a couple times. Well, no. Because he's like, we've already been to the moon. Why would you go back to... I don't know. You've probably been to the same...
You go to Mars. I'll go every fucking weekend.
We went to Iraq 4 times.
Right.
But we need oil. That was different.
Yeah.
There might be oil on the moon.
We're going to free the shit out of it.
We don't know. We haven't been there enough.
It'll bring you freedom at 2,200 feet per second.
Here's a Moab.
Aren't we supposed to avoid political things?
No, not anymore.
No.
Okay. Oh, that's right, because our fan base are usually not idiots.
If another country went to the moon where we have our flag and they knocked it over, we would spend money to go back there and put the flag back up.
Well, I don't know. Is it the Russians?
It could be if any country, it was a huge dick and they're like, yeah.
Because our first goal was
yes, we would.
We would.
We would.
Just out of spite, we would knock their flag over.
Yeah.
Well, Space Force would go in order to...
Arguably, Space Force is reasonable.
Right? It's not unreasonable.
It's just that he said it, which makes it terrible.
Because he doesn't. He's thinking. I just think of Starship Troopers when he says Space Force.
Right.
What he wants is NASA without climate change.
Well, so the U.S. Space Command, which
NASA
is currently part of the Air Force, should be separate from the Air Force for the same reason that we separated the Air Force from the Navy or Army. It's the Army Air Force.
Even though the Army has its own.
Right, but
but
the logistical demands, the infrastructure, power structure, the chain, everything about it requires it's different mission objectives, different. It is completely reasonable to separate the U.S. Space Command from the Air Force into its own branch, especially when you consider how much of America relies on satellites.
Yeah.
You ask. Could you imagine ordering a pizza and that pizza driver going, give me a second, I gotta flip through my Thomas guide? They probably don't own one, they probably don't know what one is. When you think about how much of our economy is based on GPS now.
Yeah. And that system is aging.
Yeah. And so, from a national security standpoint, for want of a desperately better term, protecting...
And we don't even need a fleet. Just park one ship and go, okay, mess with us. I don't even,
There's cameras there.
There's cameras, you gotta behave.
They capture your greatness.
Ostensibly, I'm not inherently opposed to a defense organization geared towards protecting our satellites and but we can't call it Space Force. That's just dumb. I don't care.
Trump Force One.
Even that is almost. But I don't know. It's.
Space Protectorate? I don't know.
I don't know.
Not Protoss 1.0?
No.
MSR.
I don't
Space Force. I mean, I guess, the Air Force, so it's Space
The
Force.
large
But it just sounds so
I don't know.
stupid.
It just does.
You're proposing this to mostly people who are used to playing really cool video games with really cool names for alliances and shit. And
so yeah, as long as we call them, the Adeptus Astra Militarum, or let's just go full Warhammer 40k, and it is. It's not Space Force. It's the Adeptus Astartes. The idea of a space.
No, the idea of it is not.
I don't
As you
think
said,
we need one.
wholly illogical.
Unless
However,
the Zerg show up, it's like, well, shit.
Well, it's no. So
however,
it's
more
not,
of how it was presented.
Right. It's not about us sending army men into space, right? It's about
intelligence agency.
Power projection?
power protection. Yeah, I mean fundamentally, yeah. Let me talk over you at least 3 more times.
Yeah, well, I mean that's okay because I talk over you all the time.
There's a balance.
It's how one should interact with their employer.
Because I sit there and I go, okay, what do you do if some whacked, job like, North Korea decides, what, we're not looking to bomb a country, and we don't even care if it causes us problems. We're just going to shoot missiles up and blow up a bunch of satellites and create a debris field,
Which will then rain down eventually.
which will also destroy other satellites as they pass through them. And then suddenly, we don't have satellites, and we can't launch new ones.
Yeah, we've got the standard archaic GPS system, and we have GLONASS, but not TomToms don't use.
Okay,
Neat.
but
There's a word for it.
yeah,
The more you know.
Knowing is half the battle.
like, I mean, that pretty much wipes out cell phones.
No, not cell phones.
It would switch to cellular networks because there's
Right.
no.
It would severely limit cellular use.
Right, because
It
now
makes
you're
me think of
entirely
Good Omens.
tower dependent.
Yeah.
Limits, radically limits, our drones are done for. Our military is overall crippled. We are back to World War II, as far as,
Back to trench warfare.
yeah.
Let's do it. I'll try it.
Hey kids, like and subscribe.